everybody. Happy Saturday. Thank you for tuning in. And welcome to It's Lit with your girl, MJ Kane. And I am so excited to, first of all, this is the premiere of the show. So if you're tuning in, I would love to see you comment and say, hey, how you doing? And I am so excited to have author Kenni York sitting here as my very first guest, blessing me with her presence on this show. I'm looking forward to having a very good conversation, some fun. Maybe we can make some jokes, a little bit of shenanigans, and get to know each other. And I definitely want you guys to get to know Kenni. She's got a lot that's going on. The purpose of It's Lit is to basically introduce you guys to a lot of the talent that we have in the Atlanta area, the Georgia area, of authors that we have that are abound. And it just, as an author myself, it just fascinates me to get to know other authors and find out what their story is and what got them into the world of wanting to be an author. So just a little bit of facts about Kenni here. First of all, she is not only an author, she is an entrepreneur, and she is also a philanthropist. She's got a lot. Like I said, I'm going to let you get into some of that stuff here. But what I loved about reading your bio and getting to know you is your personal mantra of making a difference and not just a dollar. I think that is very, very powerful, and I love that. I love that. So just a few facts for you guys about Kenni. She published her first book, which was Ask No Questions, back in 2008, so you've been around for a while. 2008, I wasn't even thinking about writing in 2008. So you've been around for a while. That's great. That's great. And your book, The Girls, is your most popular book so far?
To date. Yeah.
To date. That's awesome. And that came out in 2012. All right. Let me see. You're also the founder of Kenni Enterprises, which is a literary firm that specializes in ghostwriting, editing, freelance magazine articles. Girl, I might need to hit you up for a job. As well as new author consultations and creative writing courses. Yes, that's awesome. And this girl's literary credits and awards are just too numerous to name, I'm telling you. But I'm still going to name a few because I was so impressed. All right. With the laugh track.
This is all the stuff I can't go watch them.
All right, so let's see. Here in 2013, you were the AAMBC Female Author of the Year nominee. Yeah. 2013, you were the National Association of Professional Women inductee. That's great. That's awesome. 2013 also. 2013 was a great year.
That was a good year for me. I had no complaints.
Girl. Let's see, when was I in 2013? 2013, I think I was still writing my second book. Okay. We all got to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. 2013 also the Continental Who's Who Award recipient. I said she was, I'm telling you, big girl.
Should have rolled out the red carpet.
No, that's right. See, that's why I had to make sure we had the wine tonight.
She doesn't buy me wine at all.
So in 2014, the Who's Who in Black Atlanta Entrepreneur Award. 2015. See, we still going, girl. We just in 2015. Literary Jewels Author of the Year, and there was
Editor of the Year.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that should have been editor.
Okay. 2015 Literary Jewels Editor of the Year. Yeah. Might need to send you some of my stuff in the future. And then 2018, which is one of the things, I know I skipped a few, but I just jumped. 2018, I had a couple of weeks ago, I had the pleasure of connecting with Kenni York again at the Secret Place Book Club's event that they held here in the Atlanta area. And I got to present myself, but I was just blown away by her presentation of your one of your books. What was the name of the book again?
Noah's Rights.
Noah's Rights, yes. And her beautiful presentation of that, and I was just so blown away that I was not shocked at all when she was nominated, and well, excuse me, not nominated, she was selected to be the Secret Place Book Club's Author of the Year for 2018. So congratulations!
Thank you.
I feel like I got writing royalties over here.
I love it.
So many questions.
Okay.
But of course, one of the things that I want to do is It's Lit is make this be a wine and words thing. So, of course, we have our wine.
Yes, indeed.
Actually, there we go. We are drinking Moscato. Woo! Now, I'm not a super huge wine drinker, but I have been starting to. I know, because when I asked you, no, wait a minute, I didn't even ask you. When you were reading the information, I think you saw the picture of the promo picture, and you was like,
There's going to be wine.
yeah, there's going to be wine. I was like, yes, all right. I got a wino with me. I'm just playing. Well, I'm also going to take this as not only a journey to learning about other authors, but also a journey to learn about wine.
Well, you should do that. You should have, every time you have an author, sorry, just popped in my head. Every time an author comes on, you should have them pick a wine.
That's what I'm doing.
And then they would have to tell why they picked that wine.
Yeah. So, okay, so in our conversation, since you brought that up, in our conversation, I know we had mentioned some wines, and Moscato was one of them. What do you like about Moscato?
I like that it's not dry. I cannot stand a dry wine. I don't drink red wines at all. And I like that it has a little bit of fruitiness to it, a little sweetness.
Yeah.
But my favorite wine is Riesling.
Okay. All right, now, is that like a certain... I kind of saw that at the store, but again, I'm not a wine aficionado. In fact, I ain't even gonna lie. Moscato was the first one that I actually drank that I liked because it does have that sweetness. Because I'm always like that fruit drinking person. You know, I need the good stuff. I need the good stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I always thought about wine, I was like, dry, no, I can't do it. But when I got introduced to Moscato, it's like now my favorite thing to drink. So how did you end up getting into Moscato?
Actually, from my first marriage, my ex-husband's sister put us onto Moscato. She was always bringing it. Like, she prefers red wines, but I don't know what made her start drinking Moscato, because it's so far from that. But she also put me on Riesling, so kudos to you, Renee.
So what does Riesling taste like? You know what? I actually thought Riesling was just a brand name. I didn't know it was actually a flavor.
Yeah.
Again,
Riesling is like a higher level of Moscato. It's not as sweet. It's a little sweet, but it's not as sweet, and then it's not dry like your Chardonnays or your Pinot Grigio.
So MJ needs to go take a trip to wine country. Is there somewhere up in Atlanta where you can go to wine
Chateau
tasting?
Elan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never been there.
Me either. I want to. You would think that I've been.
I don't know. We might have to hook up and do a day trip.
And Chateau Elan, they make their own wine, so they have their own brand, and sometimes you can catch it in stores.
All right then. All right. Well, there we go then. All right. So let's get to know you. Try not to ask you those traditional questions.
Yeah, don't do that.
Oh my gosh. So with you having so much that's going on, God, how can I ask the question without asking the question? This is a challenge.
Okay, just ask.
Now, everybody's got their own reasons and stories for deciding that they want to write. What put you on the writing path? Because like I said, you have so much going on, from being an author to a business owner to a philanthropist. Which one of those did you actually start first?
Well, I started the writing first, and I think that writing is just who I am. Just like at my core, it's who I am. And I've been doing it my entire life, and I think that the main reason I started doing it was to escape. Like, I started writing little stories as a child because my childhood just had so much going on. But when I would write, I can create an entirely different world with a new set of problems or a new family, just a better life, so to speak. And that gave me an outlet. So from there, I just kept going and going, and I never really thought that I would turn it into a career until I went to college. And I took creative writing, and I did an assignment. I can't even remember what the assignment was supposed to be, but when I turned it in, my professor told me that he thought it was the makings of the beginning of a novel.
Really?
So that turned out to be my first book, Ask No Questions.
Oh, really? Okay, so what kind of story is that? Ask No Questions? What kind of story is that?
It's a murder mystery.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It is a mystery. It has your bad guy who sweeps the naive young girl off of her feet, and then she gets caught up in this whirlwind of his shenanigans and criminal activity, and doesn't even realize that she's an accomplice to all the mess he has going on, until somebody dies, and then it's kind of like, okay, who did it?
Ooh. I have thought about trying to write a mystery. I don't know. I don't know, because I guess, how many published books do you have so far?
Over 20.
Yeah, I'm still a baby in the game. I'm still a baby in the game. I'm on my 6th book. I ain't gonna lie. This one is kicking my butt.
It's okay.
I've had to come to understand that it is okay. That this one is apparently going to take me a little bit longer than all the other ones, because the rest of the ones is taking me like a year to write. This one hasn't quite been a year, but I'm just getting to the part to where I'm starting to type it up, because I don't know about you, I'm old school. I handwrite first.
I start writing first.
You do too?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Yeah, I have to do that handwrite first and then go back and type it up.
Yep.
But I got to like the last 4 or 5 chapters of this book, and it's like the outline sounded so much better than where I'm at right now. Like, when you write, are you like one of those by the seat of your pants type writers, or do you outline first?
I have an outline, and then I've met a lot of authors who say they don't use outlines, but I have to, because I feel like if I don't, then I'm gonna end up all the way left field, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm a very organized person, so I want to stay on track. Now, there have been some books where I have written without an outline, just a handful, and one of them was a collaboration.
No, okay.
So that was just fun, but majority of the time I'll be using the outline. I need to know what's supposed to happen, especially if it's something that is really all about the details, like a murder mystery.
Yeah.
It's all about the details. You can't really fly by the seat of your pants with that, because you have to make sure that you don't contradict yourself anywhere along the way. Yeah,
and see, I like reading murder mysteries. See, you know what? I might challenge myself. When I finish this last book of this series, I have decided, because I'm writing the Butterfly Memoirs, which is just women's fiction, basically. And as my husband actually tagged it as reality romance. And when he said that to me the first time, I was like, reality romance? What? But I'm like, it has seriously grown on me now. So like when I promote, I always say reality romance, And that's, I know, I love it. And that's just because of the fact that I'm not one that likes to read the rags to riches type stories, or, well, I guess what I should say is the stories where you have that girl who like comes from the gutter, who gets picked up by the millionaire. I'm not that. I don't like those kind of stories, because I'm like, that's not real to me.
Right.
The chances of that happening are like,
right.
Yeah, it's not something that I could get into writing that kind of series. So I like picking up stories that are things that I can relate to, and that readers in general can relate to, because it's closer to everyday life,
right? That
kind of thing. So I got this series. So once I finish with this one, I'm now like, when I tried to figure out something else to write, it's like, oh wow, this is not a butterfly memoir story, but it kind of has the feelings of a butterfly memoir story. I don't want to write it. I want to do something different. So I'm gonna have to challenge myself. Maybe I'm gonna have to go for some advice on how to
step outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, maybe that'll be the more
surprise yourself.
Yeah, that might be why this last one's taking so long. Hey, okay, so we do have someone in tonight. Hi, Marcella, how you doing?
Hi, Marcella.
Good to see you here. Marcella is one of our show favorites. She always is stopping by. She's always in with the with us with Major Shenanigans and with the party team. So awesome. I definitely appreciate her coming in and saying hi tonight. Marcella, I know you're full of questions. Whenever you have a question, please feel free to ask, because one thing, Marcella is actually in the process of trying to write her own book.
Okay.
So she's hit me up from time to time and asked some stuff. So feel free to ask Kenni. She's got experience, girl. She knows what's going on. Okay, so since we're talking about ideas and whatnot, what type of genres have you written in?
I've I've done it all. Well, no, let me not say that. I've almost done it all. I've done the murder mystery, obviously, poetry, self-help, women's fiction. I've done erotica.
Why am I scared to tackle erotica? I don't know.
Because you're scared to let people see that side of yourself.
Well, see, let me tell you something. I got sex in the books now. But it's so funny because it's so funny. Lady Kane in the background shooing me off. Okay, so yeah, I have it in the book. But you know what? For me, the first time writing it, because it was not my thing. For the first story I wrote, I actually had to write around it. It was like, leave blank spot, sex goes here, move on to the next. It took me a minute. And then it's so funny because when people do ask me, he was like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, pretty much it's porn the first go round. It's just porn the first go round. There she goes. It's porn the first go round. And like 10 rounds of let's work this out and make it work right. The dynamics. You know, one of the things, and tell me if you feel this way. In my research on becoming an author, and I had to find out how to write sex scenes. I read this one post that said writing love scenes was like writing the action scene in a novel. And I was like, really? And I was like, I guess when you think about it, because it is action. So it's like when you're writing a fight scene, like with your book, did you have fight scenes or anything like that in it?
Yes.
And so you have all of that.
Now let me tell you, when I've done a fight scene, I've had people to kind of act it out for me so that I want
to stand there and act it out. Oh, wow.
So I can see it, because I want what I'm writing to be vivid. I want you to be able to see it as you're reading it. Mm-hmm. So I tackle the sex scene.
Oh, wait. Okay, come on.
In a similar manner. I'm trying to keep this tasteful and clean now. And
I like major shenanigans. This is not necessarily have to be family friendly. We're keeping it real. We're keeping it real, because as authors, we all got to, at some point, somebody gonna be writing about sex and fighting.
And at some point, we're gonna all be doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I've done something and that worked for me, and I can go back and tell about it, then hey, it's a good time for everybody. And then, you know, sometimes when you talk to other people and they tell you some of their business, I just take bits and pieces of that too. That you did that? That worked?
Okay. Okay. See, I've gone from personal experience to extreme imagination to just, that's what the internet's for.
Now that is something I have never looked up on the internet.
Visit a porn site. Visit a porn site. And you can get all the free research you need.
Okay.
Because I've done that too. Because, it's gotten worse in the last couple of books. Because, see, with the first book, in the first book, it was like, first time trying to put a love scene in. So it's like, ooh, okay, they can do it this way. And then they can do it that way. And then they can do it this way. Okay. But 5 books later, it can't be different people doing the same stuff.
Right.
So you got to have some, and sometimes you can't sit there and, get experimentation happening all the time. So sometimes you just got to be like, all right, I got this amount of time to put into this research today. Google, let me see what we got today. This, no, that might not work. That one works. That's new. Okay, let's try that. Right.
I'm not mad at you. I have written a scene where I went back and read it, and then I had to go ahead and excuse myself and have a break. I'm like, oh my, I wrote that. I just had to go have a break for a minute. It was
do you still have that feeling when you do you reread your stuff that you've written? How often?
Not very often. Not very often, but I do. And then I don't know why I do this, but I like to read to my spouse. So I'll say, hey, which book do you want me to read from? And then I read it. And sometimes it might be something, spicy and good. I'm like, oh my God, I wrote that.
Okay, yeah, because I was just had one of those moments last week when it's one of my books, Lonely Heart, that I hadn't read in a long time. And I just picked it up and I said, okay, just need some motivation. Because you just sometimes, when you hit that brick wall, you got to be like, where did I come from? Where, can I still do it? What happened? And I picked it up and I read it and I was like, wow, this was actually better than I remember. Wow, did I write that? Oh, okay. Especially because, with me, I work at the library. And my books are in the library system. So it's always fun to have readers that come through. And there's this one lady in particular, she lets me know where she's at every time she comes in, because she's like, girl, I couldn't even finish I couldn't finish reading it because life had to kick in and blah blah blah, and I gotta renew it and blah blah blah. And it's so funny because she'll hit me up and she'll be like, with this one particular lady, she was like, girl, I need to talk to you outside because I was getting ready to go on my lunch break. And I was like, okay, come on, outside. She was like, girl, how do you write that? She was like, oh my God, that was so hot. She's like, I was sitting there and I was like, oh my God. And my husband was like, what's going on? She's like, oh, man. I was like, okay, all right. So,
hey, now.
Mm-hmm. So, even my husband has said maybe I might want to try giving a stab at erotica. And I'm like, I'm not exactly 50 Shades of Grey-ish, but I'm not sure how much more erotic I can get besides the language. Because I use...
Challenge yourself.
Yeah,
challenge yourself. Do something different.
Have to do that then. Okay, so you were saying what other... Oh, wait a minute. Did you... Hold on. Marcella just said something, honey. I can't see. We got the old eyes having.
Marcella said, did you always feel like you must write? Do you write every day? Do you use music to write scenes? And how much of your books have you in it?
Good questions.
Do I write every day? No.
Did you always feel like you must write?
Yes.
Do you use music to write scenes?
Not really.
Okay.
I know a lot of people that do, but I don't really need it. Like, I might use it for background noise, but it doesn't affect the writing.
Okay. And how much of your books have you in it?
What did you like? It depends on.
It's like, what parts of this got you in it? Wait a minute.
It depends on which book. Like my book, The Girls. My most popular book is a series. The Girls 1 and The Girls 2. I'm in that book, and I always challenge people to figure out which character is me. I never tell. But I will say this. The book, or the series, is about me and some of my friends. Some of my old friends from college. A lot of it is based on things that really happened to us. Some of it I fabricated, but most of it is true. So if anyone follows me on social media or knows me personally, you'll be able to tell which one it's me. But for those who just really don't know me, good luck figuring it out.
So what genre is that book?
The Girls, that's just urban fiction.
Okay, I was going to say, ain't no murder mystery happening.
No, there's no I mean, I'm not telling you.
You almost got it. Almost had a confession of some sort.
Urban fiction. Go pick it up. If anyone is from Atlanta, they would really love that book because the book is based in Atlanta and we talk about a lot of different Atlanta landmarks. You got to really be from here though to really know these places.
Okay.
And know a little bit of something about the street to really know what I'm talking about.
Being that I'm a country girl. Girl, I grew up in Griffin, Georgia. Okay. Yeah. And then I wasn't even in the city. I was in the country.
It's okay. You would still enjoy the book.
The neighbors had chickens. And they would get out sometimes. Yeah. I was in the country. Needless to say, as soon as I graduated high school, I got the hell out of there. I got out. And moved to Jonesboro like that was so much more fun than this.
That was better than chickens next door. No.
Oh, yeah. I'm shaking my head. I'm sorry. I'm shaking my head about I was a different girl. But the best thing they still got going down there are the housing prices. The houses, you can get bigger houses for a lot cheaper. That's because we did move back once and bought a house. It did not live and happen. and crap happened, and then we just moved out, and that was it. Yeah, so. All right, so here's a question for you.
Okay.
You said you do not write every day. So do you write is writing your full-time job, or do you have a day job and you have scheduled time?
So until recently, writing was my full-time job because, I had the business, or have the business, Kenni Enterprises, and that's basically all I did.
Mm-hmm.
I started out working for Defects, and I worked for them for 6 years. So in 2012, 11, one of those years, I got tired of working for them, so I quit. And that's when I started Kenni Enterprises.
Okay.
And I had my own little office, and I just did my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But after so many books and just so much stuff, like the industry isn't what it is. What it is now isn't what it was years ago. It's changed a lot. Some good changes, and then some of it I'm just over. Personally, I'm just over. So I decided to retire. I made that announcement last year that I would be retiring as of April of this year, and that's what I did. I went back to school, and I started doing dentistry. So now,
really? Okay.
So now that's what I do.
That's totally different.
Absolutely different. Absolutely different. I work with teeth now, so I am a dental assistant. But here and there, I still do a little bit of dabbling. But I have since resolved my company, so I no longer do the editing and ghostwriting anymore.
That's okay. That's okay. You still got the knowledge up here.
Every now and then I get somebody, they'll call me, they'll say, hey, such and such referred you, and depending on what the project is, I may take it on. But like you said, I do so much that sometimes you just have to say, okay, enough is enough. Yeah. I'm one of those people where it's been hard for me to say no. I want to say yes to everything, and I want to do it all because I feel like you live one time. You might as well go for the goal and be happy. Yeah. But, I got 3 kids too. So going for the goal and trying to be happy, I can only do so much. So I had to pull back a little bit. And so I decided I'm always going to be an author. Nobody can ever take that away from me. My books will always be available worldwide. Nobody can ever take that away from me.
That's awesome.
And if I wake up one day and decide I want to write another one, then I know I can do that. But for right now, I am content with just being mommy and doing my organization, running my organization, running my shoe store, and being a dental assistant 4 days a week.
Okay. Yeah, the shoe store. We're going to have to come to that one and get some more information about that real quick. Okay, Marcella said, and Sharon. Lady K, thank you very much.
First thing you did when you got published.
Ooh, first thing I did when I got published. I don't think I did anything. Okay, wait. Let's be specific. Let me tell it. Okay.
Tell it.
So my very first book in 2008 was published by this small publishing company that I would not recommend to anybody, so don't do it. And they are called, or no, they were called because they changed their name. They were called Publish America. And I was so excited that a company wanted to publish my little manuscript that, I went with it like most other people that get a contract and says, hey, somebody wants me. I went with it. It didn't cost me a dime. It wasn't like one of those companies that was saying, hey, I'll put your book out if you give me X amount of money.
Persons that make you pay first and then they put it out. Yeah.
So I was glad that I had what I thought was a real company. But I can say it's because of them that I started getting some exposure, because with them, my books was in stores. What was it? Not Barnes & Noble. What was the other bookstore?
Books A Million?
Not Books A Million. It was another one. They closed down.
It seems like all the books.
I want to say Borders.
Yeah.
Borders. Okay. Yeah.
So my books started out being in Borders, and I was doing book signings. They weren't doing this for me. I was doing this for me, but it was because of them and their distribution. So I was okay with that. But I knew I wanted more. So I stopped with them. I was happy, but the thrill was gone at the first book. So I gave them about 2-3 more books, and then I started self-publishing. But then one day, I self-published the girls, and one day an agent picked it up. She liked it, and she then put me on to Carl Weber, and he picked me up, and he signed me. So, honey, when I got the word that Carl said, okay, it was a go and he was going to publish me, I pulled over in the parking lot of a Walmart. It was around Thanksgiving, and I got out in the cold, and I did a happy dance.
Hey.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I was excited.
So how did your family or friends feel about just the whole fact of you writing in general? Did you have support, or did you have some people that were like, girl, you should be doing something else with your time?
Well, I feel that a lot of people, friends, and I use the term loosely, and family, kind of felt like, oh, you're a writer, that's all you do all day. Like, because I wasn't going to somebody else's corporation and clocking in and out, they made me feel like my job wasn't as important or it wasn't real. And then other times, I would never say it, but I would think to myself, you know me, like you really know me, literally know me, and you can walk into a store and see me on the shelf, and you don't feel some sense of pride, and you don't feel an obligation to support. How many other authors do you know personally? How many celebrities do you know personally? But you're going out and you're buying those CDs and clothes and name brands and everything. You don't know those people, but you know me and you know my struggle, but you want support. But we can't do all that because our biggest supporters are going to be people that we have never ever met.
And you know what? It is so funny because when you're saying that, is like with myself, when at work, and people ask for book recommendations. I recommend other folks, but hey, since my books are in the library, I'm recommending myself.
Right.
So, and I love the response. I love the response that I get, because then it's like, oh, really? Where is it at? Let me check it out. And and they do check it out. And one of the first things that people usually say is, wow, I can say that I met an author now. And it's like, yeah, but like you said, but sometimes you'll have family and friends and be like, oh yeah.
Now, you know what I do sometimes? And I have no shame. 0 fucks given. I will go to a Walmart.
Put that with a hashtag.
I will go to a Walmart or any other store, and I'll go to the book section to see if my book is there. Now, if my book is there and there's another person in the book section, I'll go ahead and be like, hey, obviously you like to read, you should read this book. And we'll talk about it for a little bit. And then when they ask me, well, how'd you hear about it? And then I'm like, because I wrote it. And then they're like, no, you take it. And we have to go through that whole debate about who I am. And then we get to take the pictures and they go buy the book. I love it.
So is your picture on the back of the book?
My picture is not on the back of the book. But to prove that it's me, I always have to go to my social media page or something. I'm like, why are you making me do all this? Just go buy the book.
See, I know with mine, my picture's on the back. So, like, at the library, they was like, no, you didn't. I had to turn around and be like, take it back to the book and hold it like this. Yeah, I dyed my hair since then, but it's still me. But that's just such an awesome feeling. So at Walmart, that is awesome.
Yeah. At the Walmart, honey. And sometimes we get up to the
Girl, you know what? Okay, you said published by Carl Wilbur. So is his name gonna be like on the cup?
No, somewhere on the back maybe, but not on the
And the only reason why I asked that is because I know it's just like with Zane, and I know there's some Kenny, some of his books that we have at the library,
and it'll say
that it'll have and then his name will be at the top, and then there's the author's name there at the bottom.
No, none of
so yours isn't like that. Oh,
no,
that's good.
None of my books are like that.
So you get to sell on your own merit.
Now, I don't mind saying that he's my publisher if it's going to entice you to say, oh, okay, well,
yeah, I know what he published. However you can get it out.
Whatever makes you pick it up.
Exactly.
I'm okay with that.
I know that's right. Shoot. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so we already know what inspired your very first book. Okay, tell me something about, well, no, we'll get to that one later too. Well, nope, you've already answered that question too. Okay, so you said that you do well, at least one of your stories is based on some people that you know. Do they know that it's based on them?
Yes, and here's why I say that, because when you pick it up and you read it, you know what you did. So you know if that was you or not. But for the most part, most of the women in the book, minus one who I don't talk to, I don't feel like I owe her anything. So everyone else, I have said, this is going in the book, right?
You see no shirts that is like, I'm an author. Be careful what you say and do.
Right.
It can end up in a book.
Right. And I had this one friend who's in that series. She would call me and say, girl, you want to know what I done did now? You ready? You got your notebook out? She would call to tell me this stuff, to give me material. I can't make this stuff up. I'm like, oh.
I have a coworker that every now and again she'll pull me to the side and she'll be like, girl, let me tell you about blah, 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 blah. You need to put that in the book. And I'm sitting there like, I'm making mental notes. I need to start walking around with a notepad. But I be making mental notes because I'm like, wow.
See, the best stuff is stuff that you can't make up. That is the best.
And you know what's so funny is that sometimes people don't believe what can be in a book can be something that actually happened. Because I have another friend, author friend of mine, with her books that she's written, there are some different things that she's putting in there dealing with kind of like romantic gestures that the male character may have done or something like that. And she said she'll get reviews be like, that is just so not realistic. That's just blah, 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 blah. And she was like, I'm not making this up. I'm actually pulling some things from my own life that this is what happened. In fact, it's so funny that not too long ago, I think it was just this week, she was posting pictures on her Instagram page showing some of the things that her and her husband were doing because they were recreating some of the events that happened in her first book that she had wrote.
Okay.
And she's told me directly, she was like, some of this stuff we actually did, the short-term relationship. Yeah, we really literally met and fell in love and was married in less than blah, blah, blah time. And people were like, that's just not realistic. She was like, and they've been married for like over 20-some years. You know what I'm saying? So it's just so funny how some people don't understand it. Yeah, you can actually take real life and put it in a book and it be for real. And then some stuff you really got to make that stuff up. All right, now here's one thing. I have always said, since being an author, that every author or creative person, whether you're writing music, books, whatever, there's an element of crazy. So at work, they always pick at me because sometimes I just be like, I'm on the crazy train today. And we're literally writing on the board in the back, MJ's on the crazy bus. That was literally, it was just that crazy one week. But I've always said that if, I would have a purple straitjacket if I had to be in a padded building. Do you ever feel like there's an element of crazy that kind of motivates you sometimes?
I think we do have to have a little touch of crazyism to make some things work out right in our novels. But I think that is probably a question best asked of my spouse, whether or not I have a crazy streak. She would probably say yes. I can hear that now, but I'm not crazy.
But see, but you know what though? Creative people, I think there's, like you said, there's that bit of crazy, but it's not the crazy that you need pills. So you don't have to be in a padded cell.
Okay.
But you are managing your crazy by being creative.
Okay. Yes, that is my coping mechanism for my crazy-itis.
There you go. All right. So I think that's probably part of mine too, because. All right, so talking to you earlier, I know you're not an only child. See, me, I'm an only child, so. Oh my God! She said, oh, I'm so sorry for you.
I am too.
We're both only kids, so we're like each other's sister. So it's so funny because, like I believe you were saying earlier, you started writing at an early age, making up short stories. See, I didn't do that. I read a lot of books. I just read all the time because who else did I have to talk to? I read a lot, and I had a room that I guess, now that I think about it as an adult, it could have almost been a padded cell. No. It was my playroom. It was we had a garage that my mom enclosed, and so you know how all garages had that little storage room on the side, and they had a little window to the outside, and they had a door. So when she closed in that room and made it like this extra special living room or whatever, she let me take all my toys into this one room, which it was like walk-in closet type size. It was pretty big size. And that was my toy room. So it was like, keep all your toys over here so your room can stay clean. So that's where all my toys went. So I would go and literally close myself up in the padded, non-padded room and talk to myself and make stories up with Barbie and Ken and...
Your friends.
Yeah.
Those were your friends. I'm sorry.
No. Again, remember where I said I grew up? In the country.
With the chickens.
We had neighbors that my mom would not let me go play with. And they all had siblings.
It's okay.
I just had the dogs.
It's
and
okay.
the hamster. And the cat. And the chickens that would run out with their hog.
Charlotte's Web.
And my mom would call her my dog. We had a little Shih Tzu. She said that was my little brother.
Oh. What was his name?
I don't even remember.
How do you not remember your little brother?
Exactly.
Probably because to this day, he died a lot. He died shortly after I got married. So that's been like over 20 some years ago. That's why I don't remember his name. But because he's also been replaced by cats. I've had 3 cat brothers. I've got one right now. I think his name is Shalimar.
The third.
Crazy, okay? This is why I write, okay? Lord have mercy. Woo, folks gonna look at me differently now. Alright, so it's so funny how you know all this stuff in your head, but you don't really think about it too much until you really start saying it out loud. It's like, oh God, wait a minute.
The whole glass.
Oh my.
Wait a minute, still something.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Moving right along. Your philanthropy. All right. You have got a lot that's going on. Along with the other awards, because I listed some of them already. There was some I don't believe I mentioned. One was the 2015 award for the Who's Who of Black Atlanta. I may have mentioned this one. Black Atlanta Community Service Award and the 2016 Strut Award. And if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm not mistaken. A lot of these awards have come from your dedication to educating the community about sexual abuse.
That's correct.
All right, and that's what you do a lot in the community and do a lot of speaking to encourage victims to speak up. I think that is very admirable, and I love that. And if you don't mind, would you mind telling the audience a little bit something about that? What it is that you do?
Well, I am the founder of the Let Your Voice Be Heard Foundation Incorporated, and what we do is go out into the community and educate different organizations, schools, businesses about sexual abuse and identifying sexual abuse, and we also provide resources to survivors. And I started doing that because I am a survivor of child sexual abuse, and I know what it's like to have your voice silenced and feel like nobody believes you and not have anyone to talk to, and then all the other stuff that goes with being a survivor. I don't want to say victim, so survivor.
Mm-hmm.
I
like that term a lot better.
A lot of people think that once you've been sexually abused, that the worst part of it is the physical incident, and that's just not true. I mean, the physical incident or incidents, that's bad, but that's physical. the worst part about it is what you're left to carry emotionally and mentally. And that's been the hardest part for me, because with dealing with that, I have had a lot of situations or relationships rather that have been, I guess, kind of tainted because of my own insecurities and my own hang-ups that stem from being sexually abused. For instance, I'm not a very trusting person. I just automatically assume that the next person is going to do or say something that's going to disappoint me or hurt my feelings or whatever. I'm not very trusting. And that's kind of hard to believe because I've been married twice. Or maybe that's why I've been married twice. But I know, I can own that. I know that that's because of what happened to me as a child. Like, I was sexually abused by my father. And your parent is the person or the first people that you're supposed to learn to trust. I'm also a psychology major, so there's this theory, Erik Erikson's 8 stages of man, and one of the first stages is trust versus mistrust, and that's where you are a baby and you're learning to trust your parent. So then what happens when your parent teaches you that they are the very person that you can't trust? So how do you learn to trust everybody else if the first person that you were supposed to trust, you couldn't? So that's kind of where I'm kind of stuck. Kind of stuck in that stage. But I own that and I realized that. And knowing that about myself, I started wondering or thinking about people who don't understand that or haven't reached that realization or haven't come to terms with whatever it is that they were dealing with or went through. And I was literally sitting on my couch one day thinking of a way that I could give back to the community. I wanted some kind of a community conscious aspect to my company. And I could have written a check to anybody's organization, to anybody's foundation, and just said, hey, my company's a good company because we support cancer or something. But I didn't feel like that was genuine because anybody could have done that. I wanted to do something that was close to my heart, something where I would be active and not just writing a check. So I decided to start my own thing. And it started out supposedly something very small. We were just supposed to be doing a one-time event, just one time, to provide financial support to another organization that provides resources to sexual abuse survivors. And I did that one event, and everybody was like, oh my God, you should do this again. And I said, hell no. But then I did it again. But then I did it again. And I did it again, and I did it again. And this year marked our 5th year of doing that. So
that is awesome.
Upon embarking upon the 5th year, I said, you know what? Clearly, I'm not going to stop doing this. Clearly, I'm not going to stop going to different organizations and talking about this. So why don't we just go ahead and incorporate? So we incorporated this year.
Awesome.
So now we're doing things on a larger scale. We have different programs in place. One being our Talk Back program, where we go to different youth organizations and we talk back. I think that a lot of times we talk to or talk at our children, and we don't actually talk with them, or we don't respond to them and talk back and give them what they're seeking from us. I fully believe, this is me being a parent, I fully believe if you shut up and you listen, your children will tell you everything you want to know. And then you'll learn more about them, and you'll learn what's important to them or what's going on in their lives, so you can sow or feed into them and give them correct information. Otherwise, they're going to get it from out there in the streets, and you don't want that. So that's what Talk Back is about. And then we have a Talk Back hotline that's really geared towards young people who may be experiencing sexual abuse, so that they can call in and get sound advice from trained advocates or survivors who've been there, done that, and we can put them in touch with reputable services that can help them wherever they are. What else do we do? We provide services to survivors, such as going to the hospital with you if you need to have a rape kit done, or putting you in place with legal services in case that's the road that you wish to travel after being sexually abused, stuff like that.
That is amazing and very, very commendable, because that is most definitely a service that people need and sometimes don't realize that they need it. And even if it's not the victim themselves who know about it, having that kind of information and knowledge available to parents or family members or friends of someone who know somebody who's been in that position is just very, very valuable, because they don't know what to do.
Right.
And being a parent and a family member of having family members that have been through that, those were some services that could have been used a couple of years ago. For most definitely. So I definitely commend you for being able to take your time and your experience, and you're putting that commitment into creating something like that, because I can't imagine how many people have been touched and have benefited from it.
A lot of times with this, it's a lot of hard work, and then you depend on donations to keep the organization going and keep the services available or whatever, and it's hard to get other people involved. And there have been numerous times where I wanted to say, you know what, forget this, let me just stop here, or God, why me? Why did you give me this specific task? But then I'll get an email or an inbox message or a text message from somebody that'll say, hey, I heard you speak at this event, or I saw you on this television show, or I heard you on this radio station, or I met you at this event and you helped me realize that I'm not alone. Stuff like that, those kind of messages or phone calls or whatever lets me know that, okay, what I'm doing is purpose and we can't stop now. We got to keep going.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I you know what, that right there, aside from you just being an author and owning your own business and everything, knowing that, I think it was one of the reasons I really definitely wanted to have you on the show, because of knowing that there's so many people that have hidden this in the background. Like, the first book that I wrote, Heart Not Easily Broken, it actually deals, that's being raped is actually something that the character has to deal with. And one of the things that she goes through is the fact of, because it was a family, well, excuse me, it wasn't a family friend, it was an acquaintance of hers, but a good friend to her love interest, who is the person who messed with her. And part of the story that I wrote had to deal with, it went beyond just, romance, because it's an interracial romance, but I wanted the story to be more than just about being about the interracial romance part. I wanted it to be more about her having gone through this situation and having to figure out how she was going to deal with it, because she was one of those people who was too scared to speak up because of what it could have done to other relationships that she had with other people around her. And she put what happened to her and the effects of it to her aside, and put everybody else in front of it. And in the end, she's the one who paid for it the most. And that story was actually a part of my personal healing, I guess you could say, because of what had happened to family members. To me, that was the way for me to deal with that. But that's, like I said, that's definitely one of the reasons why I definitely want to have you on, because I know somebody out here is going to watch this at some point, especially somebody in the Atlanta area who might need this information and may not have heard about your organization before. So I want to do my part in making sure that people know it's available. There are resources that are available. So this right here, Till Stilettos Incorporated. Now, I have the information here that this is where survivors can find their voices and their confidence. And this is a shoe company?
It's my shoe company. So I wanted to do something, this is in 2014, I wanted to do something to honor survivors, because speaking up and saying, hey, I've been sexually abused, it's not an easy thing, especially if you do it in front of total strangers. It's not an easy thing to bare your soul and be naked, really, in front of people. So I chose, I think it was 12 survivors, and they were all across the U.S. in different places. And they submitted their stories to me, and I put it all together in a little booklet. and I named a pair of shoes after each of these women.
Oh.
And in 2014, at the Let Your Voice Be Heard benefit event, we had a little fashion show to debut the line Till Stilettos and to give, to pay homage to these women and other survivors who were courageous enough to speak up. So the way that Till Stilettos works is every time you buy a pair of shoes from us, 3% of your shoe sale goes towards helping survivors.
Okay.
And at this point, it's donated to the Let Your Voice Be Heard Foundation, Incorporated. So every time you buy a pair of shoes with us, you're not just doing something to make yourself look cute. You're doing something to essentially give back. And for me, shoes, it made sense to me because what woman doesn't feel confident or sexy or, feel good in a pair of heels or whatever shoe that is her thing, So once you're walking around in a shoe that you feel confident in, your whole everything changes. And if you're somebody who has struggled with being abused and you felt beat up or you felt or you had low self-esteem, you put on these shoes and you stretch yourself, honey, can't nobody tell you nothing.
I know that's right. So where can people find these shoes?
You can find them online. Just go to Stilettos.
Okay, all right.
And also there's a Facebook page for Till Stilettos, and we put deals up there, coupons every once in a blue moon. We may offer some kind of a special. And something else that we do now, like the first pairs of shoes, they were just some designs that I picked out, but now we customize shoes as well, so that's another service that we offer. And when I say customize, we do the rhinestones, the different colors and all of that, but we also will take, it's like a canvas, we'll take a plain colored shoe and we will hand paint it and customize it to whatever it is that you want.
Oh, girl, you said customize shoes. I'm sitting here thinking, wow, can I get some extra foot support and pads in there? Because my feet be hurting. Because I love heels. But one thing I've learned is that pretty much I have 4 kids. So back before I had the kids, I used to love wearing high heels. Oh, the girl on Real Time with the girl.
Yeah.
And then there was something about carrying the baby in the carrier and having the bag on this side
And trying to balance.
Yeah, and then when you went past, you could kind of get away with one because you could have the carrier in one hand, the bag on the other, and you kind of balance yourself out and make it. But when you had a baby on the hip, the bag on this side, while holding 1 or 2 other people, hold your brother hand, hold your brother, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, me and heels, even though the oldest is now, you're ready to be 16 in November. Youngest. The oldest is 22. The youngest is going to be 16. I just have my son, my youngest son just turned 17 yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah. Me and shoes have not had high heels. But I'll tell you what, yours, because of what's going on with them and the reason for the creation, I'm going to have to look into getting a pair.
Absolutely.
And give me some Dr. Scholl's and just walking from here to there and not everywhere.
And just sit and be cute.
So are they all stilettos or do you do different heel sizes?
They are pretty much all stilettos. We have some wedges.
Okay.
I don't carry any flat shoes right now.
Wedges might be my thing then.
We have
I'm on the site and I'm already like,
I know. Cause High Honey stilettos are her thing right there.
Yes.
So I can get me a purple.
Do we have a purple shoe?
I don't know if that would count.
Hey, I like that.
I don't know if that counts.
I like
That's
that.
close. But I want,
And we have those in stock.
but I want these, especially.
Ooh,
that's teal.
Yeah.
It is. So
See, there you
I
go.
have to do teal. I want those.
Yep. All right, yeah, we got some customers in the building.
I'm
right
for
now.
real.
Right
and it's
now.
affordable.
All right. Okay. Forward.
Oh, you can't see it? Oh. You want me?
I feel for only kids. You miss a lot, right? Yes, Marcella. As an only child, I did miss a lot of writing material. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. That's what imagination and websites come from. But anyway. So, okay, let's go back to, I know you said you've taken the hiatus from writing right now.
Yeah.
But for our author right here, our future author, Marcella, and me, because I'm still going, when you were writing, how did you deal with writer's block?
I did not pressure myself. Like, one thing you can't do is you can't force creativity. Like, it's gonna come when it's gonna come. So I left it alone. If I couldn't get past the scene, I walked away from it and I went and did something else, and the motivation came from somewhere. I don't try to force it. You can't. I think that when we do that, when we try to force ourselves, it shows, and the readers can tell what was forced and what just was able to flow.
Yeah.
You don't want to cheat yourself. You don't want to cheat your readers.
Yeah, and definitely don't cheat yourself. Because when you do stuff like that, it comes back and it shows in what your reviews are. Mm-hmm. And your reviews were whew, boy, you got to learn to have a thick skin with reviews.
You absolutely do. You
my
gotta
God.
take that with a grain of salt. And one of the things is, the truth of the matter is, everybody ain't gonna like everything.
That's the biggest one. That's what I tell people. That's why they have genres.
Right.
Because everything's not for everybody.
Right. And then the other thing is, if you're only getting positive or glowing reviews all the time, something ain't right. Like, nobody
gets
is
perfect
perfect.
reviews. Yeah,
they're just
yeah,
not.
yeah.
So if you see an author, especially if it's one that's like not even mainstream or whatever, and every review is glowing,
question the reviews, people, because people pay for reviews.
I didn't want to say it.
People pay for reviews. I
didn't
heard
want to say
authors
it.
that paid for reviews.
And why would you want to do
websites
that?
where they have, you can pay them and they'll have people create like
That's
multiple
crazy.
profiles and just post. Yeah.
And people, they do it. They do it. And even those people who aren't paying somebody else to do it for them, you have some people that just will tell their friends or family members who probably have never read one page to go on there, hey, just go post this review because you have an Amazon account, it will let you do it. Why would you do that though? Like, for me, I don't want those kind of shortcuts. It doesn't make me feel good. That wouldn't make me feel good. It makes me feel great when I go onto Amazon, whenever I do, and see that somebody new has left a review. That's a new person all the way over in West Hell that I know nothing about, and whatever they said, because I didn't pay them or ask them to do it, it was genuine. That means a whole lot more to me than, oh, here go $20. Go tell this lie right quick.
Yeah. Now I know because I've had some up and down. I always say is, your book is doing pretty good if at least 50% or more of the reviews are better. Preferably a little bit more, like 60% or more on the high side, and you got less on the low side. Now, if you got way too many more on the low side than you got on the high side, you need to revisit some things.
Right.
But yeah, I know for all of my books, I've gotten a little marathon of reviews. And in the beginning, with the first book, I don't say I necessarily came to tears when I first got my first bad review. I just had to start learning to look at it differently, because like you said, everything is not for everybody. And it's so crazy because, as I was telling you with the first book, the whole, rape situation is, because I don't promote that in the book, because I want that to be something that the readers come to, and for them to have gotten to know the character. So once they know the character, they can understand why she's doing some of the things, her reaction, and why certain things happen, and what the results of are because of her not opening up and speaking out, how it affects her life and everybody else. So one of the things I put into my books, for each book, I want you to learn something. And then for that particular book, it was to learn you need to talk. You need to let people know what's going on. You can't hold it in, because mentally and physically, it's just not good for you. You got to be able to suck it up and deal with it.
Right.
And it's amazing how some people have wrote reviews and they're like, wow, this happened and blah, 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 blah. And then you got others who, they don't get that message. They don't understand it. All they go is, this was a great read until the rape happened, and then blah, 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 blah. 3 stars. And I'm like,
Right.
you didn't get it.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, I'm not writing a typical romance book. It's women's fiction. Women's fiction means it deals with issues that people face and that people don't always make the smartest decisions.
Right. That's just life.
That's just life. That's why it's reality romance. That's why it's reality romance. But, what is the craziest review you ever got? If you can remember one.
There was one, and I can't really remember what he said. And he picked up my women's fiction novel. I don't know why, but whatever. And then I think he picked it up in the middle of the series, so I didn't understand that either. And left a review saying that he got it by mistake, but when he was reading it, it was too much going on. I don't know, but he started out by saying he got it by mistake. I paid it no mind. On the other hand, I have readers who follow me, and I had one reader who was offended, and she commented on his review and said, why would you even waste your time leaving a review for a book that you say you picked up by mistake in the first place? It wasn't your cup of tea. It's not what you usually read in the first place, so you can't you don't appreciate the genre. So why did you bother to leave a review?
I don't understand that one either.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, if it's your kind of genre and it's something about the book that you didn't like, okay, yes, please give feedback, because that's how authors, I hate to say that, but that's how authors learn. That's how you grow.
Absolutely.
I mean, because for me, that's how I learned when I had the good reviews and the bad reviews. Like, one of the things for my first book that I got was, she loved the book, but I spent too much time describing people's clothes. She was like, after a while, she started talking about people's clothes just a little bit too much. And yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, wow, I didn't really think about that. I'm all new author again, because when I wrote my first book, you know how you said you start off writing short stories and stuff like that? I didn't write any of that kind of stuff. My writing came from just the need to mentally, like I said, what was going on in life at the time. I needed to mentally do something between what was going on with family, what was going on with me, because I'm a stroke survivor. When I had my stroke in 2006, I was partially paralyzed for a couple of days, and like my memory was stuck on a loop. Like certain things beyond a couple of hours of going to sleep, I didn't necessarily remember when I got up. I would always ask the same question. So part of my actually starting to write too had to deal with me mentally getting my mind back and everything, and all this stuff was kind of going on at the same time, because unfortunately some of it happened when I was in the hospital, which really was a mind, I ain't gonna say that word, but anyway but it was in my learning how to write and reading books on writing, and then just getting it out there and giving up and then trying again and finally getting into where people were like, oh wow, this is actually pretty good. I thought I was doing the right thing. Hey, so this scene, such and such and such, it was artfully done. But I learned after reading that review and going back and reading the book, I was like, okay, yeah, there's sometimes you might need to describe what somebody's got one for a particular reason.
Right.
But nah, I mean, I won't say every scene it was like, so she walked out the house today with some stilettos and a short dress. It wasn't like that. But that's one of the things that I learned. So I've noticed that for each book, when I've read something in a review that somebody had something to say, if it was something that was noteworthy, then it was like, okay, well, I need to change that. And I no longer get that comment in any of the other reviews.
You have to be able to take it with a grain of salt. And if you're a person that can't accept corrective criticism, this is not the industry for you.
Yeah.
Because this is, for all excessive purposes, this is entertainment. Okay, so if you think about celebrities, we always have an opinion about these people that we don't know. We don't know them from Adam, but we are all up in their lives. Like, I don't really give two shits about Beyonce's baby. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
Why I knew you were going to say Beyonce? Probably because I was sitting there thinking about Beyonce. Me neither.
I don't, but somebody somewhere is going to always have something to say about this lady and her kids. Okay, the same is true for authors. Readers are going to always have something to say, whether it's something positive or something negative about what you wrote or what you didn't write or how you wrote it or your title or your book cover or just even you yourself, the author. Like these days, authors are so easily accessible because of social media. So how you portray yourself or the other people that you associate yourself with, just all of these things, somebody's always going to have something to say. So if you're a very, very sensitive person and you can't take that, this is not the industry for you.
And you know, it's so funny because like one of my reviews, and I always laugh at this one that I got, I can't remember, I think it was for the first book, it may have been for the second, I can't remember. You never know what's going on in a person's life when they read your story. Because I literally had a lady leave me, it was like a 1 or 2 star review once. And she just didn't like the romance aspect or whatever it was. It was an Amazon review. Now the cool thing, if you didn't know, people, on Amazon, when people leave your reviews, you can actually click on their name and go find out what else they reviewed.
Absolutely.
And just see what, try to just kind of get a feel. Because I'll do that, not for every single review, but for the bad ones. I'll be like, okay, so let me see, what else have they read? Could it been that it wasn't necessarily the character that got on their nerves, it was something about the story, okay. Oh, well, they like reading more erotica. Oh, okay, well, I wrote a blog post that says, I don't write erotica, but my scenes are erotic. but I was like, oh, okay, well, all right, this person likes erotica a lot. Well, I'm not 50 Shades of Graying over here, so okay, so of course it wasn't for you. What can I say? Yep. Or you really like hood or urban fiction, you like hood stories. Again, I grew up in the country. I try to write more like what I know. Nobody in my stories is grown up is living around cows and chickens. Okay. Though I will say one character's backstory was she did grow up on a farm. But anyway, but just reading stuff like that, seeing what else they've given 5 stars, and this is wonderful. Well, my genre, women's fiction, is nothing like what you're used to reading, so of course you're not gonna like it. Okay, my feelings aren't hurt because this just really was not for you. I had this one lady, as I said, when I did some research on her, come to find out, apparently anything she reviews in this one particular month gets all 1 stars.
Wow.
Like literally, I went back that far because I was like, I just looked and it was like, during this particular month that she reviewed my book, she had like 4 other romances, all of them 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. But the month before and the month after in her history reviews, 4 stars, 5 stars, 4 stars. I was like, golly, this must not have been a good month. Because ain't no way you got that many books in 1 month and you hated everything you read. Somebody broke her heart during the month of May.
Aww.
So every May sucks for her, and anybody who gets her way during that month.
That's just crazy to me.
Yeah. Alright, Marcella said, I understand stroke, still rehabbing 7 years later. Okay, see, this year was year 10 for me. Last year. September of this year will be year 11 for me. That was one of the reasons why last year I cut my hair and dyed it. Because I went natural after I had my stroke, because once they put me on the different medications, and because I used to be permanent up like everybody else, and they said, hey, we don't recommend you keep putting perms in your hair because with all these different medications you might end up losing your hair. So that's what we started. I didn't do the shave it all off thing because knocked my head a little bit too round, but I did the keep it braided up until it finally got long enough to cut it off. So last September, I just let it all, it had gotten all the way like down to here. So like when I straightened it, it was like down to here, but it was like 10 years later, and I'm like, hey, let's just chop it all off. Well, not chop it off, but we're going to cut it short, and we're just going to do something new, because it's been 10 years. It's time to go different, and that's when I finally dyed my hair. That and trying to hide the gray. But anyway, changes. But yeah, you got it, Marcella. It takes time, honey. It takes time. Time and patience. All right, so Got past the reviews. All right, now, what in your being an author, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, what have you learned? Would you do it all again if you had to, or would you do anything differently?
What have I learned? I've learned a lot. I don't think I can just pick one thing, but if I had to, I guess the first thing that I can say I've learned is the importance of being true to yourself and who you are. Like I said, when I came into the industry, it was a little different from how it is now. And being an editor, I see a lot of stuff that gets published these days that people are raving about. But I'm like, this is not literature at its finest. These bubblegum stories that they just pop up with the same storyline.
Oh, you mean like all the what's that? The secret babies and the
kind of stuff. Just
everybody's a billionaire.
Right.
Yeah.
Always the drug dealer and the unsuspecting girl falls in love with him. Just these stories that are the same story with different characters or whatever. I think that a lot of times a fad comes along and we say, "Oh, that's working. Well,
let's get on that real quick."
But that's not you. You know what I'm saying? If that's not really your voice or your style, then why are you doing that just so that you can make a quick buck off of Amazon?